Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
This meeting of the City of Socorro City Council is set to begin. Gentlemen, please remove your hats, and everyone else, please silence all electronic equipment. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated. Violations are subject to rejection and possible prosecution. La Junta de este Consulio de la Ciudad de Socorro está por empezar. Caballeros, favor de quitarse las cachuchas, sombreros, y por favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento verificar o revoltoso. Quien no siga esas reglas se le sacará y puede ser infraccionado.
René Rodríguez,
Here.
Cesar Navarro,
Here.
Ralph Duran,
Here.
Mayor Elia Garcia,
Here.
Victor Perez Izaza, and Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Item number 4, public comment.
We have 2 speakers, Miriam Cruz. Ms. Cruz, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. There's still a lot of speeding going on Stockyard, unfortunately. I think it's getting worse, actually. Bigger trucks, a lot faster, less police presence. So it's a little unfortunate. I don't know what else to do other than to keep coming telling you guys. It's been more than 2 years, probably been 3 years now. Same issue. Kids' safety is at stake. Thank you, Mr. Duran, for looking at me. No, I appreciate it. There's other council members that aren't. And so, yeah, just don't know what else to do. Kids, dogs, grandparents walking their grandkids, pushing in a little cart. And cars and trucks think that it's a speed race. It's a speedway. So, again, if you've forgotten, it's Stockyard and Cielo Azul, close to the new county subdivision. There's no 18-wheeler, there's no 18-wheeler signs prohibiting the 18-wheelers being there. So, anyway, other than that, I also have a concern, in case I'm not here for item number, the last one. Are you all providing whatever training you get whenever you go places? Are you all sharing that with the other council members? And if so, are you also leaving that behind so that future council members are able to access that? So like whether it's a shared drive or something. That's a lot of money that the city is expending on y'all going to these trainings, which is probably very necessary and beneficial. But I'm just wondering, what are you all bringing back to the city and then leaving behind? Whether it's pamphlets or workbooks or any sort of training that was received at those things, whether it's city council or staff that is going to those. That's my concern. I'm curious as to how are we making the most out of that training, making the most of our buck. More bang for our buck. Thank you.
Ms. Cruz, your time is up. Sal Chagoya. Mr. Chagoya, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to see on January the 17th, that was the time when there was no quorum, so that meeting got canceled, but there's an agenda item, or there was a point here. It says discussion and action to direct staff on creating an ordinance for an agreement with Idea Public School where the city will have the responsibility to provide sidewalk signage and meet all ADA requirements. I don't believe that that item has been discussed or has been brought back to the table. It's something that I would like to see if council could bring it back. This was proposed by Mr. Ralph Duran. And the reason why is because they're using that back road on the street that is by City Hall, which is Monte Vista, Monte Mayor. And they have a gate and they open it and it's like a derby. Cars are just going in and out. And so they open that gate because they don't want the traffic. I guess they're diffusing the traffic on Rio Vista, but it's something that needs to be considered for safety purposes. So this was back in January. We're already about to start April, and I don't think that this item has been brought back or discussed. A second thing that I've noticed is that some businesses, I think, are taking advantage of not complying. One of them actually happened today was that on Alameda, there's a scrap metal recycle center out there, and they're directing traffic. They're actually stopping all traffic on Alameda. I took a picture because I slammed on my brakes. So my understanding, the only ones that could direct traffic is law enforcement, not a business. For their convenience, what they're doing is that they're bringing in semis full of scrap, but they're stopping the whole traffic on Alameda so the semis could go in and out. The third thing that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention is the striping of the roads. I believe that the truck was proposed to be purchased so we could start striping the roads. I've already met with Ms. Rodarte in regards to this. Just want to see what's an update in regards to that. I think our main roads such as Passmore, Rio Vista, Moon Road, and well, they need some striping. Thank you.
Mayor, those were all our speakers.
Item number 5, recognition of Officer Alejandro Carmona.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen of the audience here, and members of the Socorro Police Department. My name is Chief David Burton. Obviously, I'm new to the city of Socorro. One of the first things I noticed when I first opened my office and looked at my desk is there were 2 outstanding awards, which were recognizing the work of officers here in the city of Socorro, and in turn for the residents of Socorro. These are delayed in being handed out, but I thought that it was important that we recognize these officers for their work. So the first one is Officer Alejandro Carmona. On September 16th, 2018, Officer Alejandro Carmona was dispatched to the 10750 block of North Loop, where a man was found inside a canal full of water. The man had attempted to take his own life, and with disregard for his own safety, Officer Carmona jumped into the canal and removed the individual. Officer Carmona provided the individual with much needed help, and he was transported to an area hospital. If it was not for Officer Carmona's sound judgment and quick action, the individual pulled from the canal may have drowned. Officer Carmona's actions represent his selfless service to the Socorro Police Department and the Socorro community. Officer Carmona is hereby recognized for his devotion and hard work in keeping the city of Socorro a safe community for all its citizens. Officer Carmona.
way to the end.
One thing about Officer Carmona is we will have a life-saving ribbon for him for his uniform, because that's something that he will carry for the rest of his career.
Item
All right.
number 6, recognition of Reserve Officer James Perdue.
Okay, same thing for Officer James Perdue. Long overdue, but I wanted to get this taken care of here in council. Officer James Perdue has been a reserve police officer with the Socorro Police Department since October of 2007. Officer Perdue volunteers his time to protect and serve the citizens of Socorro and often works many weekends to supplement our active force. For the last 10 years, Officer Perdue has served countless hours and has supplemented daily patrol during critical shortages, events, and incidents. Officer Perdue has displayed exceptional performance, dedication to service, and his devotion to the City of Socorro Police Department. During his tenure with the Socorro Police Department, Officer Perdue has been assigned as Sergeant of Reserves and at one time Interim Chief of Police during a short transition of administrations. Prior to serving as a reserve police officer, Officer Perdue was a retired Command Sergeant Major in the United States Army. During his illustrious military career, Officer Perdue led some of the finest men in the world, U.S. Special Forces soldiers. Officer Perdue served in many areas across the globe. Many of these locations were in combat roles that include, but not limited to, Grenada, Somalia, Bosnia, and Southwest Asia. During his time as a Sergeant for 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment, he received the Bronze Star with Valor during a combat mission in Mogadishu, Somalia. Aside from Officer Perdue's military career, he has earned 3 master's degrees. Officer Perdue currently holds the following masters: Public Administration from the University of Texas at El Paso, Leadership Studies from UTEP, and Human Resources from Webster University. Officer Perdue continues to gain knowledge in a variety of fields, and as a result, he has obtained a Master Peace Officer license with the state of Texas. Officer Perdue is currently employed as an Associate Professor for the United States Army Sergeant Majors Academy. He instructs senior-level non-commissioned officers from all U.S. military branches, and as well as other personnel from different nations. Officer Perdue brings with him a wide range of experiences to the Socorro Police Department. Officer Perdue also serves as a referee. His passions for youth sports is evident by his frequent refereeing of a variety of sports. Officer Perdue can be seen refereeing high school football, basketball, and baseball. Officer Perdue also referees for our local high school here in Socorro. At times, Officer Perdue has been known to referee all day and then work a patrol shift after. His selfless devotion to the community is a trait that few possess. In keeping with the highest tradition of service before self, Officer Perdue embodies the Socorro Police Department's core values. With all those achievements that Officer Perdue has obtained, he is humble in nature. He is always willing to assist where needed, and he gets along with everyone who works with him. The Socorro Police Department is grateful and honored to have him as part of our ranks. Therefore, I am requesting Officer Perdue be recognized for his continued efforts to support the Socorro Police Department and the City of Socorro. Now, one thing about Officer Perdue is he's a Sergeant Major, and there's no such thing as a retired Sergeant Major, so I'm going to refer to him as Sergeant Major. So, being that I'm prior military. Sergeant Major. Both of them together? Mayor? Yeah.
Item number 7, presentation by City Manager regarding February's 2019 monthly report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I will provide you the highlights for our monthly report for February. The Municipal Courts Department collected $65,849, received 226 citations from Socorro PD, 28 citations from Department of Public Safety, and 46 ordinance violations. The HR Department celebrated February's birthdays and anniversaries on March 1st. Both Ivan Hernandez and Michelle Gomez were recognized for Employee of the Month. There was no civil service meeting for the month of February. We had one separation from the police department. Officer Cobb resigned. We had 2 new hires, our Chief of Police, Chief Burton, and Ruben Espinosa from the Public Works Department, part-time labor. Our Public Works and Public Works Department demolished the falling fence on the pedestrian walkway and repaired the walkway to safe conditions on Rio Vista. 21 street signs were reinstalled throughout the city. 8 replaced 2 water pipes at Bulldog Park, assisted the Water Irrigation District to replace the Worsham culverts, and continued to maintain and mow the groom all city parks. The Police Department received 1,668 calls for service. They conducted 40 stops for the school zone enforcement project from February the 3rd through March 3rd. Police officers continue to attend trainings to keep them in compliance with the certifications. Our City Clerk Department prepared agendas for meetings February 7th, 11th, and 21st. The February 11th meeting was canceled, so she prepared minutes for the 2 meetings. She received 24 open records requests and responded to 23. Our Planning and Zoning Department collected $41,000 for the month of February, issued 218 permits, 94 registrations, 7 applications, and 55 letters. Our Recreations Department had their drive-in movie on February the 14th, the Senior Citizens Dance, Girl Scout Father-Daughter Dance on February the 16th. On February the 19th, the National Trust for Historical Preservation visited our center to prepare for the 2nd phase of the rehabilitation project. The HLC meeting took place on February the 13th and kept up with all social media platforms on media inquiries. Our IT department is finalizing the Fusion network and troubleshooted all IT-related issues. Our grants department submitted 5 new grant applications to increase the Socorro Police Department's training, equipment, and communication devices, and additional PD personnel. Completion of grants closeout for the CDBG grant 7215479, including the monitoring and reviewing, and continued support on the MS4 requirements and 2020 census initiative. This concludes my report. Do you all have any questions? Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
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 At this time, can we move item number 22 next?
Make a motion to move item number 22 next.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Make a motion to delete.
Second.
Before we delete the item, I want council to know, based on information that Mike provided this afternoon, I guess the final plan is still being finalized without any of the agreements? Okay. Huh? Regarding the finalization.
Oh, is it still changing?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Mayor, we have a speaker for this item. Bernie Salcido.
Good evening, council. Good evening, mayor, staff. We're back again here at the same item. Seems to me like we're just bending backwards for this developer. I don't see where the city of Socorro will benefit from this in long term. I think that the cost is going to outweigh the initial development today. We need to look into the future. They're not providing an adequate development with any parks. They have self-ponding. Their whole agreement is just not adequate for the future of Socorro. I don't see where we can benefit from this. If we were to open up roads again, I don't see where we can, are we gonna change the charter for smaller roads? That's something that we need to look at as well. A 45-foot road is not gonna cut it for that type of traffic. It's in the city ordinance, it requires a 60-foot right-of-way. Where are we gonna go there with that? Also, if they try to come in through Rancho Viejo and Tres Caballos, it's only 22 feet. I just don't see it happening for the benefit of the city of Socorro anywhere in the near future. Thank you for your time.
Miriam Cruz.
I second everything he just said, but I also want to mention the fact that this item has been in the past four meetings. It's a little frustrating. I come to every meeting, so I'm gonna be here regardless. But I'm sure Mr. Salcido has better things to do than to be coming to every meeting. For you guys to have to continue to either delete the item, move the item, table the item, whatever the item, the fact that it takes up space on the agenda, the fact that people come and have the impression that there's gonna be action taken on the item because it's been 4 weeks, 4 meetings, including, and I'm not just talking about this agenda item, for any item, it should be presented to the agenda when it's ready to go, period. Like that, I'm not really sure why we're wasting our time, our breath, our money. Thank you.
Mr. Martinez, can we do no action at this time and then discuss it in executive session later on?
Yes.
So I rescind my motion.
Moving back to item number 11, public hearing of a quitclaim deed and ordinance to vacate a portion of Old Waco Tanks Road. 624, public hearing is now open.
Just to remind council, this is an item that I spoke about last meeting, about the gap between what's going to be provided by the developer and the street in front of St. Peter and Paul. It seems to me that there will be a gap of developed, thank you, non-developed road. And it's very holy. I mean, there's a lot of potholes, like a lot, like it's very bad. And so my concern during the Planning and Zoning Commission, when this item was brought up, my only concern was why not ask the developer to just, at the very minimum, meet the road where it becomes, where it's actually very well developed. And that's my only concern. We're giving up something. I think we can, at the very minimum, expect, I don't know how many, I think it's like 10 feet. I don't know. It might be more. Mr. Terraza might be able to tell you. But I don't see why we can't ask for that favor. We're giving something up. We can ask for something. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, good evening. My name is Trini Lopez. I live on Socorro Road. And I have a concern regarding this item due to the fact that it's so ambiguous. There is no specifics. I asked some questions right now before the meeting started, and very few answers. And by reading the agenda, I mean, how are we going to know what's going on? How much is the square footage? What is how many square miles or what? Where is it going to be? Is a transaction? Is a swap? Or is a sale? Or what? I mean, you got to be more specific. I think somebody's dropping the ball. And as far as I know, you guys are on control, or supposed to be. But who is responsible for this item on the agenda? And what wording are they, or you are using to address the thing? If there's going to be a swap, land of swap, or get something good inside the new community or along the new road. So in the future, as Mr. Salcedo said, it will be good for the future of the people of Socorro. And I don't know who can answer these questions. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
6:27, public hearing is now closed. Item number 12, second reading and adoption of a quitclaim deed and ordinance to vacate a portion of Old Waco Tanks Road.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the plat that we presented in the last meeting. The intention here is to vacate a portion of Old Waco Tanks Road. The area that's going to be vacated is 9,894 square feet. The city will be getting back 9,923 square feet. This is to realign the Old Waco Tanks Road so that it will align with the new Waco Tanks Road. So the area that's going to be vacated is this one right here. That's 0.23 acres. The area that you're going to be getting back is this one over here. That's 0.23 acres as well. In addition to that, the improvements that one of the developers mentioned is that they agreed to improve this portion of roadway with asphalt pavement up to the Juan de Herrera lateral. So the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval for this ordinance.
Mr. Rodriguez?
So just for people can understand is, we're giving up that piece of land, but we're also getting an equal portion of what we're giving away.
Yes, that's correct.
We're not giving away, we're trading off.
Correct.
So we're receiving the same amount of land that we're vacating. On top of that, the developer is going to develop to the canal
Correct.
out of his dime.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that people can know and understand that we're not giving away anything. Okay? And I don't believe that, none of us here believe in giving away, the chickens. So we're getting the same amount of land, and they're gonna do something, extend what they're supposed to, so. Okay.
Ms. Villalobos?
Can you give me the numbers again, sir?
9,894 will be vacated.
Square feet
Square feet, yes, ma'am.
will be vacated. And then we will be gaining
9,923 square feet plus 0.11 acres more that are going to be improved with asphalt pavement.
And last meeting, we heard that there was a portion that might not be paved or was going to be left alone. Are we still looking at that, or no? That's not on the table anymore?
This is the only thing that the developer offered to improve up to this canal right here,
Okay,
this little area.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Senator Rodriguez?
Aye.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Yes.
Item number 13, public hearing of an ordinance amending chapter 46 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Socorro, Texas to abolish and/or reclassify the M1 and M2 industrial zoning districts. 6:31, public hearing is now open.
Okay, so they won't be able to.
6:32, public hearing is now closed. Item number 14, second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending chapter 46 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Socorro, Texas to abolish and/or reclassify the M1 and M2 industrial zoning districts.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. Mike Mina, City Planner. There was an expression earlier this year that we provide a moratorium to withhold any future developments with regard to personal storage. So in return, what city did is that we made a recommendation to essentially eliminate the use of M1 and M2 within the city. We approached the Planning and Zoning Commission, they concurred, and before you is the elimination of the use for M1 and M2 throughout the entire city. Those M1s and M2s that exist will convert to C4, and in the future we will bring another C4 component, another commercial use that would identify special use components related to the M1 and the M2 that are abolished. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that in the event that there's an opportunity for the city to have economic development and somebody wants to come in and develop some type of warehousing, the special conditional use in the commercial component will allow them to do that.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Okay, so if we're gonna abolish M1 and M2, then our current M1s and M2s will be legal non-conforming then?
We will convert, yes sir,
Well,
we will
we're gonna
convert them.
into legal non-conforming as of,
Yes sir.
what if we abolish this? That's all I wanted to know. Okay.
Do you have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to abstain from voting.
Item number 15, discussion and action regarding the adoption of a relocation assistance plan in connection with the acquisition of property for the Nevada's Road Alignment Project.
Can we postpone the item? There was not sufficient backup in the packet.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
We didn't,
We have it wrapped policy.
It's kinda thin.
Didn't make it to you.
didn't make it.
So we delete and bring it back? Or you, I'll make a motion to postpone for the next meeting.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 16, discussion and action on approving the unaudited financial reports for January 2019.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a question from the report, page 22 of 30. Says fraudulent charges, $1,395.33. I'm curious as to what that is. There's another one right after that, $35. Again, curious to what that is. And then on page 29 of page 30,
Excuse me.
well,
Our
pause my
numbers-
time,
our numbers-
please.
No, no, I'll
Please.
extend it just in case we need to. What was the pages you said? Because our pages are different than what you're looking at.
Well, the report itself has page numbers.
Yes, which is what numbers?
I said 22 out of 30.
Okay. You see, we don't have up to 30. It only goes to 21. So therefore, That's what my question was. What were the page numbers?
Okay, well, mine says page 22 of 30. And I got it from the online, on the website, the online backup.
So
So I'm not gonna,
okay,
we're not gonna figure it out right now.
carry on.
But I'll tell you that the date is 1/1/2019, Wells Fargo Visa card, fraudulent charges, accounts receivable.
Can I make a motion to extend her an additional 2 minutes?
Second.
Thank you. Aye. Yes.
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 I'm sure you guys got the date. It was the 1st of January. My other question is more simple. And there might be a very reasonable explanation to this. As far as uniforms go, the fact that we are, one of the problems that we have in our police is keeping individuals in our police force. I'm hoping that's gonna change with you, Chief. But my concern is that there's a lot of expense that goes into this. And so page 29, I was pointing out the uniforms, there's boots, there's a handcuff holder. My phone turned off, so I'm trying to do it from memory. There's a lot of things part of the uniform that I feel like, why can't those things be left behind for future employees? Maybe not the boots, maybe not the actual wear, but the things that go along the belt. I'm not sure why we're buying new stuff for new employees. If people get fired or they quit, why aren't we holding on to those things that can be reused by our police force? That's it. Thanks.
Ms. Villalobos?
Mr. Casiano,
Yes.
could you answer some of those questions?
Yes, we did have a bit of a rash with our purchasing card through the police department. We did have some fraudulent charges that have been, some of them have been returned and others we're still working on. The city auditor has been very busy taking care of this situation and is making sure that we stay on top of it. But you know, when you have a purchasing card and you have a lot of people using it, things happen. I will tell you that this has been addressed from the city manager on down, and we now have some changes on who actually has a credit card and how those types of charges will happen in the future. What was the other situation?
The uniforms?
The uniforms, you know, we're gonna have to ask the police, you know, if they do that or not. I know what you're talking about, some of the stuff that like is attaching to the belts and that kind of thing, but I don't know how much of those items are actually transferable. So I'd have to defer to the police on that.
So, when it comes to pants and shirts, we do have some that are retained, but we did go through a uniform change. We actually changed the color from blue to black, so those blue ones we cannot retain for a uniform color. The reference to the handcuff carrier holster, that's what we call leather gear. It depends on what shape it is in when we retrieve it. If the officer has been here for any amount of time, we may actually have changed the security level on the holsters because we go from a level 1 to a level 3 holster. And the requirements through TCOL and through federal partners are that we should all have level 3, so that requires some additional expense. So some of those older equipment pieces that are coming in, we cannot retain. And then the most expensive piece of equipment we actually carry is our vest, our bulletproof vest, at about $800 a piece. And those are custom fit. And the reason why is because you have to have the side protection as well as the front and back. And to try and fit those, first of all, they only have a certain shelf life on them, which is 5 years. And then to try and fit them to another individual, we would carry liability if we gave a hand-me-down type vest. That's the reason why.
Thank you.
Ms. Rodarte?
And you're going to see purchases on the equipment for police department moving forward because there is a lot of items that they are missing. And now with our new chief, he's doing inventory and making sure that our officers have all the tools that they need in order to be out there. Out of the 4 charges, fraudulent charges, because you will see further fraudulent charges that are being hit from the police department, All of them have been disputed. There's one that has a criminal investigation opened, which is the one from January. So that one is still pending. If we're not able to do that, then we will place the burden on the officer that made the purchase. But at that, right now, it's still under criminal investigation regarding of what happened. It was some computers that got delivered somewhere in Texas, and someone signed up for them, and that's why we have a criminal investigation. Right now, what we've done as precaution is all of the PD does not have any cards, purchasing cards, and we're kind of doing all of the purchasing for them, okay? We have two where it's a little bit more controlled. Their minimum amounts have gone to $500, and the two cards they have to actually take out, like sign out on one of them to make them a little bit more responsible. We're going into the Wells Fargo account weekly, anyone that has a purchasing card, just to make sure, because when they're fraudulent charges, I don't use my card hardly ever. But if I don't check, I wouldn't know if I get a fraudulent charge because I'm not checking. And since I'm not using it, I'm not thinking anybody's using it. But now we are set to check on a weekly basis, just to make sure that we don't have any fraudulent charges on our cards. Yes,
Mr. Rodriguez?
So all of this stems from, remember when we got an email saying that our Wells Fargo's cards were gonna change just so that we can be better protected?
Correct.
Okay,
I mean,
so
there
this is what it stems from, so that
Correct.
we
So
know that even council members had, we don't have anything on us, we're just saying that that's why we got replaced our card just to, okay.
Well, now we're getting alerts through text, so if your card is used, your cell phone would automatically let you know that your card is being used.
Yes.
Mr. Nevares?
I'd like to discuss some of those. I do get some emails regarding some pending invoices. There's one I can tell you came in yesterday under District 2, and I didn't open it. I wanted to speak to Steve in regards to that as well.
Oh, that,
Just weird
Yes, we
invoices.
got maybe 50 emails with different names, people that have worked, and that's just hackers that are trying to enter into our system. So automatically Esteban is notified so he can block those users. So we're always looking, because when you're getting the emails, we're getting hit by those emails. I have Olivia charging me, you get emails, but Esteban's on that and trying to fight that. But it's just something that those hackers are getting a little smarter and smarter as they go. So we just have to make sure that we keep up with it.
Ms. Villalobos?
and Ms. Cruz, I just want to add, I was hit with a fraudulent from Wells Fargo just 3 days ago, $1,500. So it's still being looked at, but luckily I was able to stop it. No, not personal. So I know that in the past, Wells Fargo has sent out messages that your accounts have been compromised. So I'm not sure if that's the same thing with the city, but I think that's what's might be going on here.
And I just want to add thank you, Miriam, because we always get a little bummed out that nobody looks through our reports that we work hard for. So it's nice to see that you're checking our work.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 17, discussion and action to adopt the citizen participation plan as part of the City of Socorro's public input process for Texas Community Development Block Grant Program.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As part of our CDBG program participation, we do have to draft, adopt, and follow a citizen participation plan. This is a requirement that is imposed on every local agency that receives federal funds, specifically from HUD. HUD provides funding to state agencies, in our case is the Texas Department of Agriculture, and then they administer funds to local municipalities like ours, small municipalities. So in your backup, you'll see the requirements for the citizen participation plan. They include a citizen input process that requires a public hearing that allows us to explain the application, what type of funding is available, and what we will be using the funds for. It also has some requirements for informing residents with limited English proficiency. So we will be publishing in Spanish and English, and also provide some information on how to communicate to residents that have a disability, what kind of technical assistance we can provide, as well as how to file a complaint.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
5 seconds. As always, I love your presentations. Grant writers do a good job. The only thing I wanted to say about this is that I hope that the city can take some of these points from the backup about the public hearings to incorporate them in other areas of the city, whether it's incorporating them into the fun events that we have, or the more, our taxes, or whatever projects, repavement of roads, whatever it may be, things that are coming up. I hope that the city can start looking more into similar citizen participation, feedback, that it can be duplicated from what your name, Alejandra, presented today, because why wouldn't you want the input, especially if we can just copy it. I think that would be beneficial to the city and to our constituents. Thank you.
Aye. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Item number 18, discussion and action on approving Resolution 568, authorizing the City of Socorro to submit a grant application to the Texas Department of Agriculture's Texas Community Development Grant 2019 Planning and Capacity Building Fund, and authorize the mayor to act as the city's authorized representative in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the Texas CDBG program. The city's grant match commitment is $11,574 from the general fund.
Good afternoon. The Planning and Capacity Building Fund is a competitive program through the CDBG grant program. The Planning and Capacity Building Fund are only available for planning and capacity building activities. This fund does not fund construction activities. It was informed to us that we are in need of several planning documents and planning activities. We will be applying for a total project cost of $57,870. $46,296 will be requested from the Texas Department of Agriculture and Grant Funding, and our local match will be $11,574. The planning activities that are proposed through this application include base mapping future land use map, as well as a drainage design policy, capital improvements program, and there are requirements to publish our planning documents, so that's also an activity type.
Make a motion to approve, but I would want to amend the mayor to include Mayor Pro Temp and or our city manager, and the reason being is because what if she can't be able to make it, our Mayor Pro Temp could, or what if both of them can't, then, at least have some contingency plan there. So I would like to add Mayor Pro Temp, whoever it is, and our city manager.
Second?
Second. Aye. Yes.
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 Item number 19, discussion and action to authorize the City of Socorro to enter into an agreement with the Texas Department of Public Safety's LESO 1033 program and designate mayor as the authorized official in all matters pertaining to this agreement.
So the Department of Defense has this really good program called the Law Enforcement Support Office, otherwise known as the 1033 program. And what it does is it allows local law enforcement agencies like our Socorro Police Department to access Department of Defense equipment and property. And it's basically like a borrowing program, I suppose. And
So, yeah, I've used the 1033 program for the department that I came from. Everybody relates the military surplus to weapons or vehicles. That's not the case at all. We bought uniforms, boots, backpacks, furniture, construction equipment, buildings. It's government surplus. They put it with the Department of Defense, but it actually comes from all of the government. We would be looking for what they call D-mill classifications that are higher, so A or B, because that is newer equipment. In some cases, it's brand new. It's still sitting on a shelf. It's been there for over a year, and the government looks to get rid of it. So this would allow us to apply for those pieces of equipment that we decide that we need.
Make a motion to approve with the same thing, have Mayor Pro Tem and the city manager included.
Second.
Question?
Ms. Villalobos?
Yeah. So I noticed there's no match here.
So the only thing that we would be responsible for, if it wasn't here at Fort Bliss, would be the transportation costs from whatever holding place it was coming from.
Excellent, thank you.
That was a good question. Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 20, discussion and action on the plat approval for Hernandez Loya subdivision, being all of tracks 10F7, 10F7A, and 10F10, Block 3, Socorro Grant at 10921 Bird Road.
The purpose of this plat is to combine 3 tracts of land into one lot, so they can use the existing stables for their large animals. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval. This property is located on Bird Road, where they already have large animals. It's all this land right here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
So, at its current stage, it's not enough land to keep their animals there, and that's why they want to extend?
The way the property is subdivided is, you can see these smaller tract of lands. They can't have the large animals here, but they can have them here in the back. So by combining these 3 tracts, now they can use the stables for the horses.
Okay.
Ms. Villalobos?
That was my question. That's one. And the other one, when you say large animals, what are we talking about?
Horses.
Okay, all right.
Make a motion to approve.
Just curious if it was cows or, okay. Second.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 21, discussion and action to approve on amending policy 35, public, civic, and nonprofit organizations' use of Socorro City property and limited services. Section, scope of limited use of property and services.
Mayor, the reason that this was brought up, the Socorro Veterans Memorial Board and members actually requested our facility here at Chambers to have their meetings where they all meet. They were using petrol, but it's costing them money. So they asked for the facility. On our facilities request, we do have an ordinance or a policy that exists from 1992 that only allows them a maximum of 4 times a year to be able to ask for the same facility. So what they requested is if we could come to council to see if they can amend the policy, and I mean, I recommend approval as long as we're not using any staff. It's just PD opens the building, opens it for 2 hours, and then locks the building after they leave.
And the request, I'm sorry.
Ms. Villalobos?
And they're requesting two additional aside from the 4.
No, they're requesting a total of
I see 6.
11, 12 meetings. They meet twice a month.
Oh, I see. I see it now.
And
I'm
they're
sorry.
on Saturdays. The only thing I would say, if we're scheduled for a Saturday meeting, then they would be declined and asked to use a different date, as long as the facility's not being used by city purposes.
It's 13 dates.
13.
Mr. Martinez?
And as long as council revisiting this policy, my recommendation would be to discuss that in executive session.
Okay. So, I'll make a motion to move to executive.
To consult with your attorneys
Consult with our attorneys about
items
21 and 22.
item
21 and 22.
21 and 22.
Second.
Aye. Yes.
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 6:56, we are now in executive session.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom.